Thank you for being here. Today's press conference, we're going to talk about an incident that took place in Fort Bend County at around 7:52 last night. An auto pedestrian accident occurred at the intersection of Bissonnet Road and Hodges Bend Road. 911 calls came in where they said a vehicle struck a small child and the child is in very bad shape. Units arrived within minutes and we discovered a small female in the roadway with severe injuries. It was determined at that time that med flight will be called and she will be transported down into downtown Houston. The caller also stated, which is quite alarming, that the vehicle that struck this girl left the scene of the accident. Very disturbing. Our investigation continued, and what we discovered a few hours later is the vehicle that was involved in this crash that struck the girl was also involved in a minor crash in Houston approximately 12 minutes later. Through our social media platforms, we immediately put out the fact that a witness stated that it was a Nissan, the one located right here. It was a gray colored vehicle. And we started placing that information out on social media. Well, a family member of the victim of the second crash noticed our social media postings and stated that looks like the same vehicle that was involved in the crash in Fort Bend County hours earlier. Detectives in our traffic enforcement group put their heads together and we were able to recover the vehicle and driver in downtown Houston a little after noon today. Our lead investigator on this is Lieutenant Skelton, and I've asked him to attend this press conference, and if you have any questions, I would ask that you feel free to ask Mr. Skelton.
What's the driver's name and has she been charged?
Right now she's currently being detained. We're still going through the interview process and working on some additional information and working some more leads. We still got a lot of work to do. This is just the beginning. Her name is Angela Smith.
Has she confessed to the crime?
Yes, it's my knowledge. I wasn't there for the interview, but it's to my knowledge she has admitted that she did strike the child.
I can answer that question for you, please. Investigator, she's been here for the last hour or so, and she did admit to causing a crash. She admitted that she hit somebody, and she kept going. She was scared, and the reason she was scared and she didn't stop is because she has a suspended driver's license. And that's what she told investigators. She stated that she had no alcohol in her system. We asked the question, were you under the influence of anything? And she stated no, that she had no alcohol in her system. But she hit somebody.
Did she tell you how she felt about this? How she felt once she learned that the girl was in critical condition?
Well, according to the investigators, that they stated that she has not asked about the status of the person that she struck. Very little sympathy and, quite honestly, very little remorse.
Okay. Hey, one last thing, Pete. What did she admit to? How did she tell you it happened? In her words.
Again, I wasn't up there. I just had a brief talk with the investigators who interviewed her and got some information, but I wasn't in the hour-long interview, so I don't know specifics other than the fact that the reason she left the scene, she didn't stop, is because she was scared and she had a suspended driver's license. But she knew she hit somebody.
And once again, did she show any remorse, any bad feeling about what happened to this little girl?
She didn't, during the interview, she did not mention anything about, she didn't ask about the girl or that somebody, whoever she hit. She didn't ask. And our investigators, I asked, how does she feel? I mean, did she feel any remorse? And in their opinion, she didn't feel there's really no remorse.
Sheriff, what charges could she face, or Lieutenant?
Right now, we're looking at failure to stop and render aid. That could always be upgraded depending on the condition of the child. We're going to work with the district attorney's office, and whatever charges they feel is appropriate, we'll go that route.
Can you tell us how the child is doing, how she's doing?
The last update I had a couple hours ago, correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, is she's still in critical condition. That's all I know.
You know anything about the types of injuries she has? Broken bones?
No,
Cuts?
sir. I know when we spoke with the hospital early this morning, they were still trying to assess the nature of injuries. When she did leave with life flight, she did have a pulse, but she was not breathing on her own. So I would imagine they were trying to intubate her and all that good stuff, trying to get her ready to fly.
So at the time she was picked up by the life flight, she was not breathing on her own. She had to be assisted with her breathing.
Yes, sir.
We asked this last night. Do you think that damage came from the hit and run?
Yes, ma'am. The damage, as far as the windshield, we believe that and possibly the big dent on the hood is from the accident last night, the first one. Through our investigation with the assistance of HPD, there's minor damage with that second accident.
Talk to me 1 second about the violent nature of this crash. I've been told that her body was sent flying some 50 to 60 feet. I've heard other reports. Tell me, as best you know, how violent an accident was this?
It is one of the worst videos I've ever seen. It is bad. It shows the whole incident.
You know, one thing that you have to be aware that this young girl was not crossing the street on her own. That she had siblings with her. And that car just missed the other two siblings. We could have had... God was looking out for the other two. Certainly looking out for the other two.
Is she with her brother and sister? Or two sisters?
Brother and sister.
They were going to play basketball at the school?
I'm not sure of the circumstances of why they were crossing the road. We'll get those answers later on when we sit down and try and talk with them.
As far as the second crash where you got the picture of her, so did she stop and they engaged and exchanged contact information?
Yes, ma'am. I don't really want to go into too much of that, but they did. Our suspect rear-ended the other vehicle. They pulled off into a parking lot, and things kind of went a little south, I guess you could say, from there. She decided for one reason or another to leave.
If she wasn't going to stay for the first crash after you hit somebody, what would make anyone think she was going to stay for the second one? On her own.
Can you tell me the range of charges she could face?
Well, I don't know. Again, we're working with the district attorney's office. As the good lieutenant said, FSRA, failure to stop and render aid, this type of case would be considered a felony, I believe, of the third degree. And we're going to work with the district attorney's office and figure out exactly how we're going to move forward with this case.
And is her license suspended?
It is.
And do you know what it was suspended for?
Oh, it's very long.
Can you give us some of her criminal history?
I don't have any of that, other than she has a suspended license.
Lieutenant, you've been working this case from the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Emotionally, how did you know that there was a kid involved, and you've been working it the whole time?
It's draining. Like I told somebody, one of y'all earlier, I have a child that's that age, and you never want to see that happen to a kid, and especially when you have kids that age, it's tough because that could be your kid. My kids play outside all the time. You watch them the best you can, and you pray that never happens.
Lieutenant Sheriff, social media played a huge role in this case. do you want to say anything about that? Just, encouraging people that they're seeing things
Sure.
that you guys post online?
We have 86,000 plus followers on our social media, and we try to get information out as quickly as possible. In this case, we had information on the vehicle out within minutes. And we're glad that the public is paying attention to our different platforms. And you look at this now. This took place at about 8 o'clock last night, 7:52. And within 18 hours, we're actually able to recover the vehicle and have contact with the driver of the vehicle. 18 hours.
What was the circumstance? How did you get this woman? What played out for me? How did you get a hold of her?
We're not going to get into the details, but we worked with relatives and others, just talking to people. Our detectives were able to put this together very quickly.
When she was greeted by your officers?
Yes, in a park in Houston.
Right?
In a park in Houston.
You know the name of the park?
I can get that for you later.
Edgewood.
Edgewood Park? Is that where she was pulled over, basically?
No, she was there waiting for us.
Okay. Edgewood Park. Okay. That's where she agreed to meet you.
Correct.
She surrendered.
Yes, she was there to speak with us.
And the video came from Ogden Elementary.
I know it was one of those schools right there. I can't remember off the top of my head which school it was, but it faced the intersection.
And this is about 12 noon today when you met her at this park?
That could
A little
be.
after 12. And what's important for those that are viewing this, and I tell you, thoughts and prayers to that little girl, that she survives. Thoughts and prayers to her family. I saw something on one of your television stations with a man in the middle of that street with his hands up, looked like he's praying. I don't know if that was his daughter out there or if that's a relative, but to the viewers out there, thoughts and prayers to this girl, that she survives and she can make a recovery. Thank you.